Seeing as how some of you will be voting today, we thought we'd give you some information over Obama's and Romney's policies,
as well as inform you about the propositions, senators, and governors you may be voting on today.
I hope you enjoy, and remember, if you're of age, do your part and go vote.
Obama and immigration. He has issued a directive in June that immigrants brought illegally into the United States as children be exempted from deportation and granted work permits if they apply. He took the temporary step after failing to deliver on promised immigration overhaul with the defeat of legislation that would have created a path to citizenship for young illegal immigrants enrolled in college or enlisted in the armed forces. He says he is still committed to it. However, government has deported a record number of illegal immigrants under Obama. Romney on immigration favors the U.S.-Mexico border fence, opposes education benefits to illegal immigrants. He opposes offering legal status to illegal immigrants who attend college, but would do so for those who serve in the armed forces. He would establish a national immigration status verification system for employers and punish them if they hire non-citizens who do not prove their authorized status. He would end visa caps their spouses and minor children of illegal immigrants. He would honor work permits for immigrants who benefit from Obama's new policy but not accept new applicants under the program, and promises to put in place a comprehensive immigration plan before those permits expire. Obama on Medicare. His healthcare law improves coverage for beneficiaries with high prescription costs and removes co-pays for a set of preventative benefits. It also cuts Medicare spending for hospitals and other providers by more than $700 billion over a decade. Those cuts are being used to provide health insurance to more working-age Americans, and the government also counts them as extending the life of the program's giant trust fund. But he hasn't ruled out increasing costs for middle-class and upper-income Medicare recipients or increasing the eligibility age from 65 to 67. Now, Romney on Medicare would like to introduce generous but undetermined subsidies to help future retirees buy private insurance or join a government plan modeled on traditional Medicare. Gradually increase eligibility age to 67. Repealing Obama's healthcare law would roll back improved benefits for seniors unless Congress acts to protect them. It would also reverse Obama's Medicare cuts to hospitals and other providers, which could hasten insolvency of Medicare's trust fund. Obama wants to raise taxes on the wealthy and ensure that they pay 30% of their income at minimum. He supports extending Bush-era tax cuts for everyone making under $200,000 or $250,000 for couples. But in 2010, he agreed to a 2-year extension of the lower rates for all. He wants to let the two top tax rates go back up to 3 or 4 percentage points to 39.6% and 36%, and raise rates on capital gains and dividends for the wealthy. Healthcare law provides for tax on highest value health insurance plans. Together with Congress, he built a first-term record of significant tax cuts, some temporary. Romney hopes to keep Bush-era tax cuts for all incomes and drop all tax rates further by 20%, bringing the top rate, for example, down to 28% from 35% and the lowest rate to 8% instead of 10%. Curtail deductions, credits, and exemptions for the wealthiest, and an alternative minimum tax for individuals. Eliminate capital gains tax for families making below $200,000 and cut corporate tax to 25% from 35%. He does not specify which tax breaks or programs he would curtail to help cover costs.
Obama opposes near-term military strike on Iran, but holds that option open if it proves the only way to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. He declined to repeat the Libyan airfare commitment for Syrian opposition, and instead seeks internal pressure against Syrian government. He scolded Israel for continuing to build housing settlements in disputed areas and pressed both sides to begin a new round of peace talks based on land borders established after the 1967 Arab-Israel conflict. He signed law to expand military and civilian cooperation with Israel. He sought penalties against China for unfair trade, but opposes branding China a currency manipulator. Romney appears to present a clear U.S. military threat to Iran and has spoken in more permissive terms about Israel's right to act against Iran's nuclear facilities, without explicitly approving of such a step and while saying the U.S. military action against Iran would be a last resort. He would identify those in Syrian opposition who share U.S. values and work with U.S. allies to ensure they obtain the arms they need to defeat the Syrian government. But he has not proposed direct U.S. arms and supplies to rebels and would rule out U.S. military action for now. Associates himself more closely with hardline Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, pledges more military assistance to Israel. Branded Russia the #1 geopolitical foe of the U.S. and threatened to label China a currency manipulator in a move that could lead to a broad trade sanctions.
Obama has achieved landmark overhaul, putting the U.S. on the path to universal coverage now that the Supreme Court has upheld the law's mandate for almost everyone to obtain insurance. Under the law, insurers will be banned from denying coverage to people with pre-existing illness, tax credits will subsidize premiums, people without work-based insurance will have access to new markets, small business gets help for offering insurance, and Medicaid will expand. Romney promises to work for repeal of the law modeled largely after his universal health care achievement in Massachusetts because he says states, not Washington, should drive policy on the uninsured. He says he would protect people with pre-existing conditions, though his plan only does so for those who maintain continuous coverage, not a major change from federal protections in effect before Obama's healthcare overhaul. It would expand individual tax-advantaged medical savings accounts and let savings be used for insurance premiums as well as personal medical costs.
Obama has approved waivers freeing states from one of the most difficult requirements of the Bush era, the No Child Left Behind law. And Race to the Top grant competition has rewarded winning states with billions of dollars for pursuing education policies that Obama supports. He won approval from Congress for a $10,000 college tax credit over 4 years and increases in Pell Grants and other federal aid. Romney supported federal accountability standards of No Child Left Behind law. He has said the student testing, charter school initiatives, and teacher evaluation standards of Obama's Race to the Top competition make sense, although the federal government should have less control of education. He says increases in federal student aid encourage tuition to go up too. He wants to see private lenders return to the federal student loan program.
Obama and Social Security has not proposed a comprehensive plan to address Social Security's long-term financial problems. In 2011, he proposed a new measure of inflation that would reduce annual increases in Social Security benefits. The proposal would reduce the long-term financing shortfall by about 25%, according to the Social Security actuaries. Romney of Social Security, who hopes to protect the status quo for people 55 and over, but raise the retirement age for full benefits for the next generation of retirees by 1 or 2 years and reduce inflation increases in benefits for wealthier recipients.
A temporary delay on deep water drilling after the massive BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. But U.S. produced more oil in 2010 than it has since 2003, and all forms of energy production have increased under Obama. He achieved historic increases in fuel economy standards that will save money at the pump while raising the cost of new vehicles. He achieved the first ever regulations on heat-trapping gases blamed for global warming and on toxic mercury pollution from power plants. He failed to persuade a Democratic Congress to pass limits he promised on carbon emissions. He set a goal of cutting oil imports in half by 2020. Romney pledges U.S. will become independent of energy sources outside of North America by 2020 through more aggressive exploitation of domestic oil, gas, coal, and other resources, and quick approval of Keystone XL pipeline from Canada. He supports opening Atlantic and Pacific outer continental shelves to drilling, as well as western lands, Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, and offshore Alaska. He says green power has yet to become viable and causes of climate change are unproved.
Obama wants to hold Wall Street corporations accountable for their irresponsible actions, set and enforce clear, consistent rules for the financial marketplace to protect American families from manipulation, and support bipartisan plan to reduce national debt. Romney wants to cut federal spending and bring reforms to entitlement programs, balance the budget by reducing the size and reach of the federal government, and return fiscal power to the states and the people.
Thank you all for voting. Happy Election Day!